Hello, can you hear me fine? I think you do. Yeah. Well, welcome guys to the Hitchhiker's Guide to a Trustless Automation Protocol. Thank you for making the time to being here today. Hope you enjoyed. My name is Facu Spagnuolo. I'm one of the co-founders and CTO of Mimic. We've been doing automation for a while. I've been contributing in this space for the last 8 years, I think, to many different projects, but we've been doing mostly automation at Mimic since we started it 4 years ago. So let's start with the beginning. What do we mean by automation, just to be all of us on the same page? Maybe in a generic way, we could say it would be like interacting with the blockchain without any manual intervention. But if we try to think it from the developer perspective, we could say it more be like trying to execute code on the blockchain without or when certain conditions are met. So let's begin with our guide. Marvin is going to help us today. Not sure if you know the character, but it's from old book from the 1980s. Hope you enjoyed. But of course, let's always, we're going to go through different features, but let's always think and not forget about decentralization and being trustless. This is why we're here mainly. Chapter 1, scale transactions. Let's start with something simple. Let's say Alice wants to transfer a certain amount of money to Bob. In order to take care of this, we just need to make sure we can execute certain transactions on time. We could use cron jobs. We could use any decentralized solution. It could be something like Defender or Gelato. We could program our own smart contracts just to make sure certain transactions occur at a specific time. This sounds very simple, so we can add some sort of scaler to our protocol to make sure we can control when certain transactions are sent on-chain. Chapter number 2, balance thresholds. This is very common, but usually users don't want to send transactions if it's not above or under certain thresholds. Let's say we're talking about money. Yeah, we don't want to send a transfer if we're talking about just a small amount of money. We want to do it if it's more than X or under Y, whatever. This looks very simple as well. If we keep our on-chain or our smart contracts implementation, we could say we can query balances on-chain. That looks very simple. Also, there are many solutions out there, like tools. Again, as I was saying, Gelato or Defender, and many of these tools allow us to query information on-chain. So this doesn't look very complex. So let's add these thresholds to our protocol. Chapter number 3, token prices. Usually users don't refer to thresholds in tokens because this is not scalable. They want to refer probably thresholds in any other type of currency like dollars. So they will say, okay, do it, but if it's under or above X amount of USD. So we will need to add rates between tokens in order to do this. We could rely on, if we still want to do the on-chain thing, we can rely on on-chain oracles. It could be Chainlink or any other one. We could use TWAPs from many dexes. Many of them support them. Again, it doesn't look very complicated to do this. We can add some token rates to our protocol kind of easily. But what will happen if we want to add like any token price? Our users will probably need prices for any weird token out there. And this is, as you may know, not sure if you tested some of these on-chain oracles, but it's not a common thing. There are many tokens out there that don't have support on-chain to query their prices. So we will need to rely on some sort of off-chain data source. But remember, it has to be trustless. So now things get a little bit more complicated. We'll need to add some sort of off-chain trustless data source to our protocol. Let's think about the operations that users want to automate. We said about transfers, but what other types of operations? DeFi is probably one of the most important ones. We could say any type of tokenized operations. We could say swaps. We could talk about investing, borrowing, any type of tokenized operations. Of course, we can integrate DEXs. We can also craft our DeFi protocols integrations with our smart contracts, but it doesn't feel very scalable. We could try to integrate aggregators relying on some of these off-chain quotes, but the execution is still on-chain. We'll see. So definitely DeFi is something that we need in our protocol. Let's try to be a little bit more generic about the operations. So it's very common that at some point users need to execute a custom function on their protocol to do something, like a recurring operation. I know I need to claim tokens from my protocol. You need to call this function every 15 days. That's it. So in this case, we're talking about arbitrary calls, but the problem is we'll need to program each of these. Every time we need to integrate with a custom protocol, a custom function, we'll need to integrate that in our protocol. So this again doesn't feel very scalable at all. But let's say we want to add this, so let's try to have generic calls in our protocol as well. Let's move to the next chapter, custom triggers. Let's say, just a quick example, if A occurs on chain X, I want you to perform B on chain Y. This could be like a cross-chain trigger or something like that. But at some point, we can summarize this as arbitrary event triggers. We could rely on chain oracles information if like some of them are available for events, but not many of them. It's not that easy to query other chains information from one chain. So at some point, we still need to rely on some trustless data off-chain to do this. But let's add these arbitrary triggers to our protocol. This is probably one of the most important ones. Like, if we're saying we're allowed to execute generic calls, at some point we can think about permissions. We don't want to store keys in our scripts or programs that we're executing for our users. The thing is, we need to think about something permissionless. We need to think about trustless, what we call trustless execution. At some point, it's true that if we can verify that all the conditions are met that were specified by our users, then it should be a public execution should be possible. But it's definitely something very complex. But let's add trustless execution to our protocol again. And finally, easy updatable. This is probably the most important one. Change is definitely the rule, not the exception. Our users are changing requirements and needs all the time. They're trying to tweak triggers. They're trying to tweak the conditions, the input to whatever they are automating. They want to automate different kind of operations. They want to stop what they're doing. They want to scale it a bit more. Definitely at the end of the day, we need some code that they can update about the things they want to automate. So now what? People usually think this is automation is something simple, but definitely it isn't. If we look at all this, I'm not sure if you can find some solutions out there that you can access to all these features as a single tool that you can use as a developer. It's definitely not simple at all, and this is something that we've been doing. We've been putting all the efforts into our protocol to deliver all this for the community. Let me tell you a little bit more about how Mimic Protocol works. Essentially, Mimic Protocol is a 3-layer solution to help developers interact with the blockchain without too much intervention. The main idea is for the developer to focus on what do you need to automate, to focus on the code, to focus on when the things should happen, but without taking care about anything more than that. The idea is not to care about RPCs, not to care about execution, not to care about the transactions per se, not to care about integrations with DeFi protocols, not to care with the integrations with oracles and much more. Let's jump a little bit into the details about which are these 3 layers. So the first one is what we call the planning layer. The planning layer is basically where the developer can write their own tasks to automate what they want to do. They just need to define what's the trigger. It could be, as we were saying before, something related to time, something related to on-chain events, related to balances, related to prices, whatever. The cool thing about here is that they can rely on the oracles to access any type of data source that they want to use for their automation. It could be prices, it could be information about the chain, information, I don't know, about tokens, about gas prices, whatever. And finally, the most important thing is the relayers. They don't need to care about the execution. This is where trustless execution comes in. This is being taken care by the relayers, so users just deploy their code and that's it. The relayers will do the thing. Then it comes to the execution. So what's the output of these tasks that are being executed by the relayers? This is where we're leveraging the intent infrastructure out there. There are many, I mean, this is something trendy in the space, and definitely we're leveraging the concept. The idea is that the tasks are going to output intents to a network of solvers. So basically, you just need to care about what you want to do, but know how you do it. This is basically going to be, these intents are going to be auctioned to a list of solvers, and the best match is going to be executed on-chain. And finally, basically the on-chain layer, what we call the settlement. This is the part where we basically enforce that whatever solution the solver is trying to execute is matching what the user requested in the code itself. So we're here to push for a standard. We're releasing an alpha version. It's already live in Optimism if you want to try it. You can read more about this in our website. We have our doc site also available for you to read more about each of these layers, the SDK, the API, the library to code your tasks, much more about the architecture. Also, there's a section about the white paper if you want to deep dive into the technical details. Allow you to take some pictures, the QR codes. And we're doing a live demo tomorrow. We're hosting a side event during the afternoon. So if you want to see it working live, you can join us. Yep. Well, hope you enjoyed, and thank you for being here today.
If anyone has a question, just raise your hand and I'll bring the mic to you.
Thank you. I might have missed it, but can I also react to an on-chain event by firing an off-chain task? Let's say trigger notification to Telegram, Discord, whatever.
Not right now. Like we were mostly focused on the other way around, like trying to execute something on chain. But it could be something interesting to look into it.
All right. Thank you so much today.
Thank you, guys.